Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I am Jeff.
And we're in studio again this week.
Episode 278.
278.
279.
9.
It's 9.
Damn it, Jeff.
79.
278 was last episode.
Which is what we were debating before the show of what the actual number was.
I don't think there was a debate. It was like, hey, what's the number? We looked it up
I
and
don't
we're like,
know.
it is 279.
What technically could be a debate?
That's true because your podcast app still highlighted
If you-
270.
yeah, if you think facts like negate a debate, then
You have not been paying attention to American politics, sir. Facts are not important.
We also found, well, I just rediscovered in this notebook we've been writing in for 6 years, all of the original show notes going back to like episode 0 when we were like writing out what the format of the show should be.
Yep.
Like what order we do things. We have all those still.
Yeah.
They're in this book.
Someday that'll be in a museum.
Adrian was writing back then instead of me.
Yep.
I think I took over fairly quickly.
Yeah, I don't remember what the impetus was to push it over to you. I think because I was like, I've got to do computer stream, well, not streamy, but recordy stuff like balance levels and things were wild and woolly back then.
Now we have fancy machines that do that for us.
Yeah. I really still partially kind of want to get a soundboard so I could be like, bum, 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 blah, and like.
Only on the condition that
John Cena is in there.
Yeah. Only on the condition that you have to play that noise every single time.
The only noise I can ever play is that one, or I have to play that noise at least once per episode.
No, well, you know what? I will let you if it has to be either by itself or with conjunction with another noise that's happening at the same time.
Do like it's like playing a chord.
Yeah, exactly.
On a piano.
Yeah.
Just someone screaming, Toronto!
Yeah, so I still there's a part of me that wishes we had a soundboard for fun times like that.
Developers.
Yeah.
But like each different button on the soundboard is one of the 122 times he says developers in a row. So you could play the different inflections as much as you would like.
I don't.
Steve Ballmer, he was a Microsoft guy. It was all like this Windows like speech to a bunch of developers, and then he's just marching around on the fucking stage going developers, and like it's like 5 minutes of him just yelling developers because he wants this new Windows to be all about
Developers? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
So it's
But what about male
producers,
models?
right? This is what it ended up being for producers?
No, it was developers, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyway, let's talk about what we've been playing board game-wise on this board gaming podcast, where we sometimes hit about 50% board game content.
On a good news cycle.
Jeff?
Like, Essen is around the corner, so like there ain't shit for news until that hits.
Jeff, would you like to start with what you've been playing?
We played our, I don't know, once every 6-month game of King's Dilemma at the...
I feel like it's been like every other month at this point.
So it was this month, 2 months ago.
We ran the numbers.
And then at some point, it was 2020. In the 7 games we've played, it was like number 3, I think. And then we just had to wait for a year and a half. And then we had like 3 more played. And so this was our 7th play.
Okay, so on average, it's every 6 months.
Yes.
But you are on a better streak of playing more recently.
Yes.
Every other month.
Yep.
Perfect.
And that's happened twice.
Yes. Yeah, we're on a streak of 2 months gap.
Yeah.
So how did that go?
We ended in the high end of things, which we normally end because we get so many cards, but we were so prosperous that the game ended.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought I had a chance of actually winning one until I realized that we had an event payout that just gave everybody else gave everybody a shitload of money, and and it was just like, well, crap.
I don't have that.
So remind me again how you actually play the game.
It's like the King's Council from Game of Thrones, but you're using power to bid yay or nay on these various things, And then there's these, 5 or 6 tracks? 5 tracks. They go up or down, and then they're the top half, they're positive, and the bottom half, they're negative. And it's like money, morale, military, tech, a bunch of knowledge, bunch of shit like that. And that envelops the king's reign. But the king has nothing to do with the game except that he exists. And there's a little track that depends if the people rise up against him or he just kind of like retires.
Yep.
And then if the game goes on long enough, he dies from old age. And then you're using your little power tokens to vote yay or nay. And there's tiebreakers, and money is basically just giving money for other people to vote your way. But you get a various amount of points based on where the 5 trackers end. Like you want them either really low or really high, or you want them in the middle, or you want them in the top half, or you want them in the bottom half.
It depends on which secret card you have.
Yeah, and no one knows what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so you're generally wanting to get those points because then you win the round and you get to name the next king, and then you get a certain amount of prestige or crave, but at this point we still don't know what that is. We're basically filling in little boxes that are black or white, depending if they're prestige or crave. And then it's just like stories. It's these different storylines that are like various technology or wars with neighbors or explorers that are across the world, and whether you're like funding them to support them or funding the war or funding the bank, and you're just kind of doing that stuff.
Gives you choices.
Yeah. And a story is evolving throughout.
Like we invented a steam engine, and it was working.
But like the technology things are like, it's just a picture, and it has like it has like a bug and fire, and then it's like a little like potion bottle, and then it goes the other way, and then it's just kind of like this box, and we're like, I don't know, do we want to go for the little potion thing or the little box thing? And then we went the box way, and it was like, oh, we've invited steam power, so we don't really know some of the stuff that's going to happen.
But anytime you do those, it'll add consequence cards of like further things that you'll vote on. And so one was the steam engines were working really good for the fields, but it's like, but what could we do with that military wise?
Yeah.
But and it's so it's like, do you want to do that? If you do it, then you're going to lose out on the food production. But if you don't do it, then you're going to miss out on the military application, and then it goes from there. So,
gotcha. Any notable things from this most recent play?
The bank paid out handsomely, and then we also had a surprise war that we immediately lost.
It was like literally the first event card draw was war. Is there enough power on the power meter? Then you lose. And like to be able to put power on there, you need to pass, and which needs to happen before that event comes up. So it was just at the bad time on the deck, and then it never came back up.
Yep.
After we put a bunch of power on there afterwards, because you can only lose twice. Or
you have to win 3 times or lose twice.
Yep. And so that was our first loss. But it was kind of like, well, there was nothing we could do about it because it was literally the first card we drew.
Yeah.
And we had no opportunity to pass to put power on there in the first place.
Gotcha.
But power is also how you vote. So you're using your vote power to like strengthen the military.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's whoever does the most, like if you win the war, whoever did the most usually gets a benefit.
Yeah.
And if you lose the war, whoever did the least has the worst thing.
Loses power or something like that.
Gotcha.
It's still fun. I can definitely see Paul is very like straining to be there in some ways.
Paul is not invested in any of like the story stuff. He's invested in winning the game.
Paul not being invested in story stuff in a game?
And there has been no win-loss mechanic in the game at all so far, so he doesn't really know what he's playing for.
Yep.
So he is like losing heavy investment in the game.
Yeah. It does seem like, I know there's going to be a sequel, Queen's Dilemma.
Yeah.
And it does seem like that's going to be adding a lot more like actual game mechanics to actually do things. So it seems like that may help.
Because you each have a house that has like its own little achievement board. And I think we got an early story arc where Paul was more focusing on his points of like, I want these things to happen because I get the most points and I get to name this king. And he was ignoring his like prime achievement for his house, which was like, obviously don't do that you are trying to do, because it gets you like some power or something like that. And he was like, oh, guess I fucked that up. And now he's just like, oh, well.
Yeah. Also, it's hard to see which way, like mine is make gold. I don't know if, like, I hope that it hasn't been something that we've been close to and then veered away from, but who knows?
It's very vague.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But his was all like fanatics and stuff like that. And it seemed like he probably should have sided with another.
But it's a fun thing for the story. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
I know Wes is too. So
cool.
Like, yeah, all the little story threads are neat.
Sure. Right on. Anything else you play?
I broke out my copy of Nidavellir that I had purchased and played a previous copy, and then taught Zach and Wes how to play.
I don't remember Nidavellir. The name sounds vaguely familiar.
Nidavellir is a game where you're like dwarf leaders that are building an army to go fight a dragon.
Okay.
AKA bid for set collection.
Okay.
There's like 5 different colors, and you start with all the same like tokens. There's 0, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. And there's 3 taverns that you are auctioning to get sold. Well, not all sold. You're building an army from these 3 different taverns, and you have a player board that is, you put your little coin face down, and if you win the auction, you get to take one of the 3 cards that's in that tavern first, and then you do that one, and then you do the second one, and then you do the third one. But you have 5 coins. What do you do with the other 2? There's one that's a 0. When you play the 0, you pick last, but you have a little gold pouch where your other 2 that you aren't spending are, and then you reveal those, add them up, discard the highest. So if you had the 5 and the 4 there, you discard the 5, but then you get a 9 out of this treasury. And then the treasury goes from, I think it's 5?
5, yeah, because 2 and 3 are the lowest.
5 to 25. So you're basically replacing your coin pouch with like bigger and bigger numbers. The more numbers, the bigger your numbers, the more you're going to win those auctions. So you're swapping out your pouch for higher numbers, and then as you collect dwarves from these various sets, if you get a full set, you get to recruit a hero of your choice, which is from like 25 different heroes. Okay. 5 of which are just a lot of these are set collection things. The 5 of the heroes are all brothers. The more of the brothers you get, the more score they are worth at the end of the game. The others are like color specific to make your other sets better. Okay. Like there's like 2 green heroes. One of the green heroes does this. One of the other green heroes does that. Because they're all kind of the traditional set collection scoring. The more green you have, there's a multiplicative. The more green you have, the more points you have. The more purple you have, the more different multiplicative points you have. There's like you get 1 point for 1, you get 2 points for 2, you get 3 points for 3. If you have 3, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 points, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the purple one has like a multiplier in it, I think. And then the orange, it's worth like super low points, but the more orange you have, you multiply those points by how many different orange flat ranks you have. So if you have 3 points, but if you have 6 orange, because a lot of that orange is 0, you'll have 6 times 3. Or okay. 6, yeah.
Yep, so 18.
Yep. And then the like heroes will have like a bunch of flags, but low points. And then there's 2, and then you go through 3 rounds, and then you do that 3 times, and then you end Act 1, you score, and then whoever has the most of each hero gets like a special card that's super powerful, and then you do an Act 2 where there's more like powerful cards, you draft those, and then you go to the end, and then you score.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's a very neat auction because there's these like big gems at the top of your board that are the tiebreakers. And so it's, I think ours was like 2, 3, and 4.
3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5. It changes on player count what numbers are in there. But if we tied and you had the 5 and I had the 4, you win the tiebreaker with the 5, but at the end of that round, we swap our tiebreakers. So the tiebreakers, so now I'll have the 5 on the next tiebreaker, and you'll have the 4 on the next tiebreaker.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the tiebreakers keep swapping around, but one of those awards for having the most, I think it was orange in the end of Act 1 scoring was, if you have the most orange, you get the 6 tiebreaker, and the 6 tiebreaker is the biggest number, and it doesn't swap. So you're never going to tie with anyone, and you'll break all ties. And when they tie, like if you had the 5 and I had the 6, I would win the tiebreaker, but we're not swapping my 6. I just keep it.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of really powerful, neat, game-breaking shit in there. Like Wes at the end, before we had to clean things up, got one that was like, your auction coins, you just keep them all in your hand. You get to see what everyone places, and you play whatever number you want.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if you want to play the 0, you just choose the 2 in your hand, and then you reveal them and make those the...
discard the highest and gain the other coin.
Yep.
There's another hero that's like, instead of discarding the highest coin, you discard the lowest coin and then take the combination. And then, all of them score differently. Blue scores like whatever the number is, and red scores whatever the highest is, but you also get your highest coin. And I was reading through the expansions. So there's one that adds a new tavern kind of thing. It's a camp. And then whoever like bids highest gets to take stuff from the camp, and they're like weird artifacts and stuff that give you bonuses, like kind of like heroes. But only the person that like bids the highest can take from it, and then like no one else can take from it from the rest of the round. So it's only like a once. So it benefits you to like win auctions, I guess.
Right.
Nidavellir, I think that one is called.
So as much as that just sounds made up, that does sound right.
Yeah, I believe it is called Nidavellir.
Okay. So what do you think, Zach?
I mean, the one round or so that I think, played.
we played like 2 or 3 rounds. I think. But each of those rounds is 3 auctions per. So we got about 9 auctions in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how you can combo certain things because it's every time you fill up a row, you get a hero, and getting that hero can fill up another row depending on how things are looking.
Because the heroes can count as like a slot in your set.
Yeah.
And then like if you replace that with the right color, you can pull that hero back into your hand and fill another slot in your set. And then you can kind of combo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a lot to keep track of because there's a lot of heroes.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's 2 colored heroes per, and then there's a ton of neutral heroes on top of that. And then there's the like awards at the end of Act 1. And that can add heroes that are specific for those awards. Better than Ginkopolis?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fuck off.
Look, I'm just going to say it's got better drafting in it. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
I will say the building the city is better in that one than it is in
Nidavellir.
Is it because you don't build a city at all in Nidavellir?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's just better by default.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to help out. I'm just trying to give you something.
I don't think you are, though. Speaking of Ginkopolis, we did learn when we talked about that on our last episode. We were like, I can't remember whether it's Nick or Josh who really likes that game. The answer to is it Nick or Josh? Is yes.
Mm-hmm. Josh did mention like there's an alternate keep a card rule.
Yes. So like play 1, keep 1, pass 2.
That may have helped me with it just because it then gives you
feels like you have a little bit more control.
Yeah. Especially when you you draw like 2 great cards.
Yeah, I'd probably be willing to do that, especially in like a 4 or 5 player game. I feel like there it's more useful because in theory, in a 2 or 3 player game, you'll get one of your cards back that you pass, or 2 in a 2 player game. So,
yeah.
I think that was a big thing that helped the 2 player is like you knew what cards you were giving, so like you could play more tactically about like, you know. I don't think they need this card. They do need this card, and then like I can make do with it. Like I don't know. You could,
which you couldn't really. You could do with one person on the 5 player, but then everybody else is just like doing their like.
Yeah.
That becomes too much, yeah.
Well, and you can't like pass on a good card because you know you'll get it back if it's a card that the person that you're handing to doesn't need. Because it'll never get back to you, especially in a 5-player.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to games we actually played though, since we did not play Ginkopolis.
Correct.
This week, or at least I did not. I don't know. Maybe somebody else did.
I'm sure somebody in the world played it.
Probably. Pretty good odds.
I'm sure somebody played it and liked it, and somebody played it and hated it.
Maybe.
Someone played it and then died.
Hopefully not in the same game.
No, it's a 3-player game, and then the person that hated it killed the person that loved it.
Wow, there you go. I mean, for that to be true, you only need a 2-player game. Like, what was the third person doing?
Being like, what the fuck?
I just came for game night,
man. Yeah. Fucking Chad.
I only played one game, but I played it twice.
Yeah.
I was getting there. I only played one game, but I played it twice. So I received...
Long awaited.
Yes, I finally, years later, have received my copy of Campaign Trail 2nd Edition with the Green Party expansion from Gray Fox Games, our former sponsors.
Yep, I'm still waiting on mine.
Yeah.
So, and it's probably because I got the mat.
The neoprene mat is almost certainly what slowed you up there.
It's like stickers and fucking game trays.
Yeah.
Yep.
Extra year.
Yeah. So, had backed this a long time ago. It was very delayed, as a lot of games were when COVID. Like, I think I may have backed this pre-COVID.
I looked at it. It was October of 2020.
Okay.
But it was before all of the shipping nightmares that started.
Yeah. So, anyway, it did finally arrive. I opened it and punched it and organized it, and then, I opened it and punched it, and then I went to organize it, and I was like, you know what would help me organize it? If I looked at setup and, like, figured out, like, you know, how you do things. Because, like, all of the wooden bits came, like, piled together into, like, the red, yellow, and blue parties. We're just, like, all piled in there together, and it was like, okay, you know, is this a game where they're just going to be in a big pile and you can kind of pull from them, or is it one where, like, I should separate them? So I grabbed the rule book and I went to find the setup instructions, and that is when I discovered that my rule book is a clusterfuck.
It is absolutely fucked.
Yeah. I meant to have the, like, thing I'd written about, like, what the order of everything was, but it was like page 1 and 2 and 3 were fine, but then page 4, which is where setup was just completely missing. In its place was page 27, but it was upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Across from page 27 was page 2 from the expansion rulebook, also upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, and it was just all throughout the rulebook, it was things like that, like different pages that didn't belong. I pulled the staples thinking, like, oh, well, maybe I could just, like, swoop, and, like, maybe it was, like, one page just got put in.
Wasn't that lucky.
Nope. So now it's not even stapled together, so it's even worse. Because now it's it's already out of the bad order that it came in. I have sent an email. I forgot to check recently. I'd sent an email to Gray Fox Games to be like, hey, my components are fucked. Can you help? Luckily, they do. Gray Fox does, to their credit, have the PDF available on their website for the rulebook.
Most do.
A lot of companies don't.
No?
Which is frustrating sometimes.
But don't worry, they're still being frustrating about it.
Well, and then at that point, the next frustrating thing was just that, like, it would not stay loaded on my phone. Yeah. But I don't think that had anything to do with Gray Fox.
I mean,
because I downloaded the file, so the file should have been physically located on my phone. Yeah, so I have no idea.
That's what I mean. It's their file somehow just is like, if you scroll too far away, it just it whites out, and then it takes like 10 seconds for it to load up.
Because it was doing it on your phone too, and we have different operating systems, different phones, different service providers. There's no commonality.
No, other than that fucking file.
But we were able to play. So we played a 3-player game on Saturday night with me, Zach, and Megan.
Mm-hmm.
I was blue party, Zach was red, Megan was green, and in a 3-player game, you are all just playing the same, or you're all just playing the president running for election. Thanks for the sub there, Rabbit Duck. We like Bezos money.
Yeah, we love it.
We're happy to take Bezos money.
Yeah.
So the premise of the game is that it is you are running to become president of the United States. So you're, like, competing for votes in states to score that state's electoral college votes. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of area control in that respect. Whoever has the most voters in California is going to win California. It's got a cool little score track that has all of the states in the size of their proportional votes. So like California is fucking huge. It's because it's like 27. It's like the most, or no, 50 something.
55, yeah.
Yeah, 55. Dramatically the most votes.
Yeah. Where you have like DC that's 3 and it's really tiny.
Yeah.
The sliding scale thing is really nice, but also the problem is with when you're moving, you're trying to readjust. Those small ones will just love to pop out like a crazy.
Like when you see a train wreck and the middle cars just buckle and take off.
Also, Colorado, the
track is already warping significantly
and it's in 4 pieces and there are basically bumps on each corner, and so it's just like you're pushing and then it's just like, and it won't go any farther. I have to lift it up. Thank you, Colorado.
Yup. It is a nice dual layer track, so they do stay in their lane, even if they are buckling up on top of each other. But and you're constantly reevaluating that, so you always know where everybody stands. You know who controls what state and who's in the lead.
Theoretically. Very occasionally we'll be like,
we never actually moved this state over.
You took Indiana. Great. Go grab it. Oh. And never left you? Okay. Well.
That didn't happen often, though.
No. So far, the 2 games that we've played, the score was never close enough to where it wasn't like, let's double check to make sure we didn't mess something up.
Yeah. So the basic gameplay is there's a big deck of cards. You play over 3 months. Each month has its own part of the deck. You deal it out into the 3 months. In between months 1 and 2, and in between months 2 and 3, there's a debate. And all of those things are played out with those cards. They're multi-use. They've got 3 actions on the left that are gain funds, gain registered voters, and travel or move. On the right side, there's advertise or campaign, which is the main way of putting registered voters from your player area onto the map.
Advertising does a little in a lot of places. Campaign does a lot in a couple places.
Yeah. And advertising you can do from anywhere, because obviously you can run an ad campaign in California if you're located in Florida, but it's hard to campaign in California if you're hanging out in Florida.
Exactly.
So you've got to at least be in the region that you want to campaign in.
Yep.
And then the bottom of the card sometimes has a politic action, which is like a superpower. And there's instant ones, ongoing ones, and then reactionary ones. And so on your turn, you just pick one of the cards in your hand, you play it, you choose one of the actions on it, and you do the action, then you draw a new card.
Yeah.
You keep doing that until the pile runs out for the month. Then if it's the first 2 months, you go into a debate round where those cards have another set of symbols at the top that are basically there's 5 broad topics. There's domestic affairs, international affairs, economy, healthcare, and something else, civil rights, I think. And each of those categories has 3 points in the category. So domestic affairs is one of the economy one is jobs, gas prices, and taxes.
Yeah.
And so the debates have a little card that you deal out at the start of the game, so you know what the topics of the debate are going to be. And so that'll lead to there being 6 of those subcategories on the board. And you have to play a card that has the symbol for one of those that it's on the debate track. And then you move any of the ones on there 1 step towards you. If some of the symbols on your card aren't on the debate track anymore, then you've just brought that into the debate.
You've rabbit trailed them in.
Yeah. So
it's sort of I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. You're talking about that, and all of a sudden international trade, you bring that in. I'm like, oh, well, and then I had a card that I couldn't play before, but because you brought in international trade, now I can play that card.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a tug of war. You play it over 3 rounds, alternating who plays, 1 card each. And then at the end of it, whoever has, you go through, and for each subtopic, there are different states that care about that topic. And so you look at where it is on a given voter's track, which they're divided into 1, 2, 3, and 4 spaces. And that's how many voters they get to place from the undecided pool, which is the big pool, into states that care about that policy. So if you do really good in a debate and you move the international trade up 3 spaces, you'd get to put 3 voters in every state that cares about international trade. Unfortunately, that is only California in the game.
Since Texas and California are the biggest
and most dominant,
they each have two. Like all the other states just have one topic. These have two topics, but each of these two topics are only in that state. So Texas is gun control and education.
Yes.
And then,
which is funny because there's no other state in the nation that cares about education, and there's no other state in the nation that cares about gun control in this game.
Yep.
Except for Texas.
And then California is international trade and gender
equality. No other state cares about gender equality. No other state cares about international trade. Any of the other ones are split up usually between like 2 and 4 states, depending. Like if they're smaller value states, there might be 4 of them.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to roughly be a certain amount of electoral votes for each topic in term. Yeah, and it's for like balance reasons.
Yeah,
so that's why you'll see like Mississippi cares about reproductive rights.
Yeah,
and then you can look at it, you're like, well, that makes sense, and you could also just be like, well, they care about it not being a thing. So,
like in the debate about reproductive rights, they are on one side of that debate. What side that may be, who can say? But they are on a side of that debate.
No way to know.
No way to know. So you do that for the 3 months, and then at the end of the game, it's just whoever has the highest electoral vote count. Unlike the real election where you need 270 votes to win, this one you just need to have the most.
Yep.
So like in our game, in our Thursday game, I won, Megan got second with the Green Party, and Zach got last with the Republican Party.
Yep.
But I did not get to 270 votes, which then led us to look up like, wait, what would have happened if that really like was the case? And turns out that at least in 2016, which is when the article I found from it was, it would go to the House of Representatives, which the Republicans controlled, and they could kind of just be like, we vote for the Republican Party to be president.
Right.
Even though they got last.
Yeah.
Because our political system's kind of broken.
Kind of?
Kind of. Understatement for dramatic effect.
Yes.
So then we played again on Sunday. And so Sunday we played over at Paul's house. We played a 4-player game. And this time we opted, when you play with 4 players, you can do one of 2 things. You can play 4 parties running for the election, or you can play 2 parties running with a president and vice president. And that's the option we did. So Zach and Paul played for, again, the Republican Party, and myself and Eric were the blue. And it was a significantly different play. So you sit next to the president, vice president, sit together and take their actions one after another. So you can really combo. You are expressly allowed in the rulebook. They tell you to like work together to pick your candidates so that you get like strengths and weaknesses that like balance each other. And you're allowed to pretty openly discuss strategy and plans. Like, you know, hey, VP, you're going before me. I can do a lot of work with this advertising campaign, but we don't have enough registered voters, so I need you to register voters so that my ad campaign will get us voters into states. And you can have those kinds of like little discussions. So you're sitting there whispering. It's kind of like Star Wars Rebellion when you have like the one time I played with the 2 emperors, Empire players, and they were like whispering about like where they thought the rebel base was, and I'm just like sweating bullets as they're like whispering. You and Paul would be whispering over there. I was like, oh, what fuckery is afoot. Other than that, the game largely plays the same. The big difference is the first debate is just a vice presidential debate, and the second debate is just a presidential debate.
Yep.
So you only participate in one debate if you're playing with a partner. You can play up to 8 players with this game. So there's a solo mode, there's a 2-player co-op, a 2-player competitive. 3-player is always, well, there's ways you can play teams with odd numbers.
Yeah.
But 3 and 5 typically, 3 you would almost certainly just play each 3 parties.
Yeah.
4 you can play 2 parties or 4. 5, if you wanted to play 5, it'd be the weirdest one, because if you play with an odd number like that, one team has a president and vice president, and so that I think with 5 they tell you to play 2 teams that are paired, and then one person plays both the pres and vice pres. And then at 6 and 8 players, you would be playing 3 or 4 parties with the president,
and then 7 would be that same thing, like 5. So
3 parties with another one playing doubled up.
But fuck that. No, thank you.
I think I could see that being something I try to do at like Cabin Con. Like just one time be like, all right, guys, let's make an 8-player fucking madness game of this. because it would be crazy. Like playing the debates in the 3-player game. So in the game we played on Sunday, Eric and I ended up pulling out the victory. At one point, Zach and Paul had so many votes that they were falling off the end of the track. We crossed the end of the track briefly at one point. I think both parties held California and Texas at the same time, various times.
Correct,
which contributed to falling off the end of the track.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Eric and I were able to pull out the victory.
You guys, we weren't as nearly as well synergized as you guys were, and our cards were not lining up at the end at all.
Yeah.
And then in the debate, the second debate, you had a politic card out that was at the beginning of the debate. I had to get rid of one random card,
and I got to draw 2 cards.
And you got to draw 2 cards, and my entire hand was linchpinned on one card because none of the symbols, any of the cards worth a damn, none of those symbols were any of those issues. There was one card that brought them up, and that was the card I discarded. And so I was like, well, fuck. And I was hoping that you would bring them up. Both games, the second debate had me hoping that people would bring up issues that I could tie my cards into, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And it fucked me.
I have in both games at different points in the game specifically realized that I had a card that was like perfect for the debate topics that I have set aside and like made sure I did not play it for anything else.
Yeah.
I think it is very important, and obviously like you said, you had a good card. It's just my making you discard one random one screwed you.
Yeah.
But especially
better than the random thing that screwed me in the first game. But
yeah, that was unfortunate.
We were playing with 2 of the modules that you can add to it with the expansion. The first one is breaking news, which is like an event. It's basically 3 events that get shoveled into each of the months. And then the other one is like exit polls that sort of gives you an end game goal to go to help change a little bit.
Yeah. I was surprised when we played with breaking news in both games. I think breaking news is fine. It adds a little bit of chaoticness of all of a sudden, like one of the ones we saw in the Sunday game was like, if you campaign in California, you get to like add extra voters, stuff like that. Like, oh, there's wildfires in Colorado and Utah or Colorado and New Mexico. If like you go to those states or you campaign in those states, you can like get extra money or get extra voters or stuff like that. Like, there's something local they care about that you could target and be like, hey, we care about you.
There were positive ones and there were also negative ones.
Yeah.
So,
we only played the exit polls in the second game, and like at the end of the first game we were talking like, well, it kind of feels anticlimactic. The game just like gets there and it just ends. And so we thought maybe the exit polls would give it like some oomph, and I don't think they for me I didn't feel like they really did.
What it is if it was close, I think it would have, because there it was you're trying to keep ones that like we had the Illinois one, right, that was like we were close on that one, and then that's why we took we had something that made us take people away, and so we took it from there because we knew we could get them all back with the exit polls.
Sure.
And that was a 20-point swing. It didn't matter at that point. But I think it would be, those are good for just like if it's close, it may give you the edge, but it's not going to stop a blowout.
Yeah. I think my rough feelings, I have a feeling that I am going to like this game better at any player count where there are 3 parties. I think that 2 parties it is very swingy, like even more so than in a 3.
Yeah.
And so I feel like 3 I liked. I think I'd like to add in the exit polls to the 3-player. I think I definitely want to try and track down the dirty politics
module.
I don't know if that would help really, or if it would just make it feel even more swingy. Like, oh, you got the good attack cards and I didn't get any attack cards, so
yeah.
I don't know.
I definitely liked the debating more in the 3-player, but I liked the turn-to-turn action with the teams a lot more than I did on the first one.
That's fair.
Because you have, when you have those turns of like needing to get, those secondary turns where you need to get money or you need to get registered voters, it sucks when you're like, this is my only turn is doing this. But it's nice of being like, I'm setting that up so that my partner can then do the advertising or the campaigning to like really take advantage of that, so it doesn't feel like you're quote unquote wasting a turn to set up. So, or when you both do it, it's because you're setting up to do a bunch of stuff on the next one that I really liked that.
Yeah, which is funny because like in theory it would be like the same amount of card play, right? Like it just takes you an extra turn. It doesn't, but it doesn't like you just play twice as many cards in a single game versus
and when it's because I'm involved with what my partner's doing. That if we were playing 4 people, like a 4-party game, then it's like on my turn I'm gonna register some voters, and then like 3 people are doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then it's like, all right, and now I'm gonna get money, and then just 3 other people. Like it just feels like I understand they're going to be doing that too, but at least the one game we played, I felt a little bit more. Now, that may change from now on like 3-player games when we're playing with the entire deck like we should be.
Right. So I think that's the thing. Those, like, especially the last round felt so short in that because like the way you draw from other decks as decks get empty, like if they empty before like the debates, like in our 2-player game or our 2-party game on Sunday, the decks seemed to empty pretty consistently at the end of the round. Like the number of cards in those decks felt appropriate.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the game we played on Saturday with 3 players, it'd be like the first player would take the last card, and so then the second and third player would be drawing from the next deck, and then you do the debate and you draw those off the top of that next deck to refresh.
Yeah.
And so that deck's already smaller, which meant it went faster and people were drawing off the third deck.
Yeah.
So I do think it would feel different if we played with the full deck.
Yeah.
Which, shame on Grey Fox for how they shrink-wrapped all their decks.
Yeah, it's like when they shrink-wrapped it, there was like for the base action cards, there was a deck of like 70 and then a deck of 35.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to combine them. But Adrian just grabbed the deck of 70, was like, this must be the deck that we're playing with.
Well, because in the book it says that the deck is only like 70 cards.
It's at 105. Like there's 105 action cards. So, and so.
I don't know. Well, that might have been the old deck, the old rules that I found first on BGG from first edition or something. I don't know. That probably would have been solved if I'd had a functional rule book.
Yes.
A printed functional rule book.
Probably.
But overall, I still liked it. Like I said, I want to try like I think like Cabin Con for sure would be a great time to do like an 8-player fucking 4-party 8-player monster match.
I could easily see 6-player. 8 may be a bridge too far for it. It would depend on who it is. So
yeah, I'd be very selective about who I'd do it with.
I would definitely be in for a 6-player. I don't know about an 8, but we'd have to see.
Okay. Agree at GFG.
Angry at.
For some reason, I was thinking Greater Than Games, and I was like, you spelled it wrong. Grey Fox Games.
Greater Finn Games.
Greater Finn Games. Yeah. But, yeah. So that was Campaign Trail. So that's what we played.
You're probably one of the first people to play it because there's like literally nothing on BGG for the reprint.
No, all the things I've seen for it are still on the original edition. They haven't seen much on the
actual reprint pages.
Yes.
Yeah. I even went over to the Kickstarter page to like look at comments to see like if anybody else was having the rule book fuck up, and there weren't hardly any comments from people who had actually gotten the game. So yeah, I think somehow for the first time in any Kickstarter I've ever done, I got to be in like one of the first fucking copies to actually hit somebody. Like it seems like all the other time I start hearing about everybody getting there, mine takes another 4 weeks or something. Mm-hmm. But
that's mine.
Yeah. So it's that neoprene mat. Bummer. I'm currently fucked on what's the company? Eagle Griffin. I missed confirming my pledge for one of the train games, Age of Steam, the expansion maps. So Ofer gave me Age of Steam at Cabin Con right at the time they were doing that Kickstarter. I backed it, and then they locked down the pledge. I missed they had a very short 1 month window for the pledge manager, and I missed it. Because I had it all filled out what I thought I wanted. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to open up the box just to double check. And then I kind of forgot to do that. And then they locked down the pledge manager. So my pledge has not been confirmed. So it's like fuck, what now what do I do? You've locked the pledge manager, but I would like to manage my pledge, please.
Yeah.
I've got $100 and some in your game. I would like to get something for it, please. So, womp womp. That wraps up what we've been playing.
Yep.
So now we can go into some banter news. Banteroos. Broncos are 2-2. Turns out, this is a shock to everyone outside of Broncos country, but paying a lot of money, giving away a lot of draft picks to get Russell Wilson did not immediately make us a Super Bowl contender. We were more than one player away from being Super Bowl contenders.
Mm-hmm.
We did not realize that. We have now come to realize that, and it is a reckoning. Yeah. I've overall been fine.
Also, the Bears 2-2.
Yeah,
you're just as good as the Bears.
Yep. I really brought this on myself because Sunday morning I was helping Paul move a bunch of tables from Joyride, and afterwards we were sitting at the bar having a beer, watching the morning games, and there was a Bears fan sitting there who was lamenting how bad the Bears are. But the Bears were winning their game, and they were about to be 3-1, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to root for the Bears because when the Broncos win, I don't want to see, as long as the Bears also win, I won't see many articles about how the Broncos are the worst 3-1 team in the NFL. It'll be all about how the Bears are the worst 3-1 team in the NFL. Well, joke's on me. The Broncos, there will be no articles about us being the worst 3-1 team in the NFL because we are not a 3-1 team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We have fallen to 2-2. It's been brutal.
I watched sports.
Yeah, what sports did you watch? Racing?
Yes, Formula One.
How's the season going?
We're at like the last 5 races.
Okay.
It's Japan, Austin, Mexico City, Brazil, Abu Dhabi.
What is the timing? So I have fallen fully off of the Drive to Survive train.
Uh-huh.
What is the timing on it releasing relative to actual
Just
races?
before the season, the racing season.
So
this next season of Drive to Survive will release about a month before the 2023 racing season.
So it's not something where like you can watch it, like it's not like 2 or 3, like they do a lot of editing and stuff.
Yes.
So it takes like a year later. Okay.
They have to, because the season has to end because they need the whole season to happen, and then they can make the series.
I don't want to talk about whether or not the Raiders were winless when they beat us. I mean, and technically, Seattle was also winless when they beat us.
But that answer leads me to believe yes.
That was the first game?
That was the first game.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, technically no teams had won. We were the first game of the season.
I see.
Technically no teams had won when the Broncos lost to the Seattle Seahawks. We play on Thursday against the Colts, so...
There's hope?
It's the horse battle.
Okay.
There is always hope for a Broncos fan that someday we will return to the glory of back when we were one of like the NFL's winningest teams. Like our win ratio is one of the highest, and like
let's go find another Peyton Manning.
We're still pretty high on the team's like number of Super Bowls been to. Unfortunately, we have only won 3 of the like 9 Super Bowls that we've played in, so we don't have a great record in the Super Bowl.
So Formula One.
Sorry.
Yes. It was in Singapore, and it rained on qualifying and kind of fucked things up. And then Max Verstappen, who usually is in pole position or the top 2, was told to abandon his lap and go into the pits before he finished his lap. And the pit entry is like right before the finish. And they were like, box, for the love of fuck, box, because you have to make it after you cross the line back around to the pits, and they were worried they would run out of fuel.
Ooh.
And if you run out of fuel, you don't have enough for the FIA to test. You need at least 1 liter to test. And if they do not have enough, you are disqualified from qualifying, which means you start 20th.
Ew.
Yeah. So he had a good enough lap to start 8th at the beginning of the race in Singapore, which it had also rained and was delayed an hour. When I woke up at like 9 something and I pulled up the app and I was like, why is the race still going on? This was supposed to start at 6 a.m. And the race, once it starts, it's either you finish the amount of laps or 2 hours passes. So I was like, what happened? because it was like 3.5 hours later because it was delayed significantly. Even so much so that the race did not finish laps. It went to time.
Oh.
And once you like get to the point of where like they're not going to finish the laps, a timer starts. Instead of the lap counter, it's a timer. And then the timer counts down. Once you hit the timer, whoever's in first when they finish that lap, whatever that lap is, will then be the next lap will be the final lap. And so that happened.
So if the timer hit on lap 47, then lap 48 would be the last lap. Is that what you're saying?
But you don't really know once the timer starts, you don't even know what the lap
No, I know, but that's
anymore,
what I was just making sure that's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like if they were a second past the start finish line, they would finish that lap and then there would be one more lap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who won?
Perez, the Red Bull teammate, because it was raining the whole time and like 6 people either crashed out or had DNFs due to engine failures. So only 14 people finished the race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there was big points for a lot of those teams that were fighting for points against the teams that DNF'd. And like both Williams were out. Both Alpines were out. Who else? Like multiple people like hit the walls, but were able to restart and go back around. Like people, like there was multiple broken wings and wing replacements. Like Lewis Hamilton hit the wall a little bit. It was so wet, and it's a night race in Singapore, so it's wet, and it doesn't have the sun to dry things out, so it just stays wet. The only thing that's drying anything is the like street lights. Well, I mean, they're these huge, massive fucking lights.
Yeah, hot ass halogens.
Yeah. And
the
like
tires.
The tires, like just moving water off through the tread. So yeah, it was interesting.
Okay.
It was long because it was like normally it's like 90 minutes and then a podium. But this was like 2 hours and then the podium. So I was like, this one was a little longer than normal. And yeah, the Formula One happened.
Gotcha.
Then there's Japan, and then there's the United States, Mexico, Brazil. All 3 of those will be
ones you can actually watch at a reasonable time.
Watch normal times.
Nice.
Yeah. And then Abu Dhabi, which will not.
No.
Yeah. Like last year, I'll wake up in the morning and watch it and stay away from the internet. But it's entirely possible Max Verstappen wins at Japan.
Oh, he's that close.
Oh, yeah. He could have won the championship this race, but ended up way back down. So, but it's like he wins and then someone gets 7th or 8th or 7th or worse, and this other person gets like 3rd or worse. Because then if Max Verstappen doesn't race another race and gets no points for the rest of the season or DNFs, it is theoretical if that other person wins every race for them to overtake him in the championship.
No, there's like team reasons why he would still race even if he had clinched it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because you need both cars racing for points for the constructors.
Okay.
But at this point, I think it's pretty much locked in for Red Bull constructor, Red Bull championship, and then possible a 1-2 for drivers.
Oh.
Perez is 2 points behind the Ferrari guy that's been choking.
Okay.
His team has been choking since the beginning of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the benefits for a team winning constructor?
Money.
Okay.
The higher your team ranks, the more money you get paid out by the FIA at the end of the season.
Okay. Now, how does that affect things now in like the salary cap era where every team is limited to the same amount of funds?
You
can just use it for like advertising and shit?
So like there's some people that are like exempt from that cap. Like the driver's pay is not part of that cap.
Okay.
Yeah. But like development and stuff like that, like your head engineers and stuff aren't part of that. Their salary is not part of that cap.
Is there any mechanism in F1 to try to force parity? So like in a lot of other sports in the US, like draft is like whoever has the worst season gets first draft. Like, so they can, in theory, get the best players to try and enforce parity. Because it sounds like if you are the best team and you win, you get more money, which means you can buy the best drivers, which means you can keep winning.
You are correct.
Yep.
That is Formula One.
Great.
Fuck you, second place nerds. I'm the best. I get the most money. That means I'm going to have the best chance to win next year. And really what changes things is
be less poor.
Yeah. The thing that really changes things is regulation changes, which the FI knows what technology made that car dominant, and they're just going to nerf it a little bit and make it worse and make it slower because they don't have that technology anymore that they can use, and it makes this other technology better. And that's what happened last season because the Mercedes was so dominant for like 5 years in a row that they kind of like nerfed this, like the rake of the car. It's kind of like the angle. And the Mercedes had like a higher rake and the Red Bull had a lower rake, but they changed some regulation that the higher raked ones like couldn't use this diffuser on the end of their car in the same way that they always used by this millimeter or whatever. And it made them that much slower, which made that year much more competitive.
But it's still competitive, mainly competitive between a couple cars, not all of them.
Correct. Yes, it's like between like 2 constructors, not really 3.
There, a couple of them. They're just happy to be there, man.
That's why we call them the midfield. Mercedes is like a 3rd place team this year, and not really a like Lewis Hamilton had his highest start this race of 3rd place.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. Their development direction was not ideal this year.
Who's the 2nd place team right now?
Ferrari.
Okay. Yeah.
But Mercedes is catching up on Ferrari because they're a fucking clown show. So.
Great.
And they were very sweaty. They were like, they were dying.
I bet
it was so humid and
I was going to
hot.
say, as much as it was raining, I bet it was just the fucking worst.
Yeah, it's just sweating to death in those things.
I beat Last of Us. So the last time we recorded, good, you did bring it. So the last time we recorded, I talked about how I'd started to play The Last of Us again. Yes.
It changed directions as we handed it to each other.
So I talked about how I'd started playing Last of Us, and there was a little bit of debate, like, well, are you playing Last of Us
remastered or Last of Us Part 1?
So I was playing remastered because it was part of like the PlayStation Plus thing.
Yes. There is already a PS5 Last of Us, and now there's a new PS5 Last of Us.
Yeah, so I ended up caving. So like I watched
under no pressure.
Well, so
immediately caved.
Well, so you guys told me that, so I went and looked it up, and I was like, $70. Like, man, I don't know, fuck that. Like, it still looks really good. I don't think I need to worry about that. And then I watched a development video where they were talking about like rebuilding thing from the grounds up, and they like showed clips of them going from like cutscene directly into the game, and like it was like seamless, and like because that was something I noticed in the
because it was pre-rendered
before. Yeah.
So like in the version I was playing, like the remastered, it was like very obvious when you went from like even with the graphics still being really good, like there was a noticeable difference going from a cutscene into the gameplay. And so they were showing clips of that, and they were talking about like all new like upgrade cinematics and like stuff like that. And it was like, oh fuck, they've done it. They talked me into it, and so I got it and started it up, and it was immediately like, oh
worth
my god, oh my god, so worth it. And then like so Megan this week there was a dance like festival kind of a thing way down basically.
Red Rocks has those a lot.
It does,
yeah. Basically
global world, yeah.
They do it in Mile High parking lot.
Okay. It was basically
electronic dance music. Is that what we're talking about?
That's not at all what we're talking about.
Oh, you said dance.
How many times? She's just raving for
how many times am I going to get interrupted as I start?
I can
like,
see Megan just raving for fucking hours.
She has those gloves that have the LEDs and just
rolling.
Yeah. While high on acid.
Yeah.
And
t-shirts.
Yeah. Sure. Excuse me, sir. T-shirts.
Well, now people know.
Now we know.
We know now. So it's basically in fucking Parker. So she would go like during the day to like lessons, and then she'd come home from like 5 until like 10 or 11 when she'd go back for like the evening dances. So one of the nights, I think it was, this would have been like Saturday night, I believe. I was like, okay, well, I'll see you when you get home. She's like, I mean, the dancing goes till like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. You probably won't see me. Like, you'll be in bed by the time I get home. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, we'll see. And then I ended up staying up until like 5:30 in the morning finishing The Last of Us. Like, wow. She came home like right as like end credits roll. Like, and holy fuck, I remembered a lot of the gut-wrenching things that happened in that game. I forgot the ending.
Wow.
And so that came back and just punch in the gut.
Yep.
And you haven't played 2 at all.
I have not played 2 at all. I've had no experiences with 2. So I'm very excited to now dive into 2.
And you haven't heard anything about anything that happens?
No, I know the loose like trailer level storyline, like because the one ends with them going somewhere where you had been previously. I don't know why I'm trying to protect spoilers for like a 10-year-old game. Their home gets attacked.
A PS3 game.
A PS3 game, yeah. So the end of Last of Us, they go back to Wyoming where his brother is, that like settlement. And from what I've heard, there's an attack that happens at that settlement. Like they get attacked, and Ellie goes on a fucking vengeance tour of the U.S. Is all I really know of the story.
Gotcha.
It's basically vengeance. If you look at the cover, it's very vengeful.
It is.
She's very angry.
Yep. Yeah. She looks like she wants to murder.
Yeah, that's right.
I still need to play that.
Murder.
Yeah.
Murder. So
I waited until the PS5 patch came out, and then I played it.
Yeah. See, I don't have to wait. It's just going to be ready for me.
Yep.
It's going to be great. So, so very excited for that. I have also still been greatly enjoying Timberborn, off and on as my like go-to
Beaverborn,
like chillax, while I watch a movie, like play a game, like while I watch a movie or something. Yeah, the series trailer, like that was great because I'd started playing Last of Us and then the trailer came out and I was like, oh, well, that's convenient timing.
Yeah.
I guess now I'm going to binge through all of this.
I've not watched that trailer.
It is a good trailer.
It's a good trailer. I'm super excited about the cast. I like that somebody was like, oh, it's Oberyn Martell and Lyanna Mormont go like adventuring in the apocalypse.
Correct. Yep.
Speaking of movies, I have to talk for a moment about what a disaster shit show Ambulance was. So I watched Ambulance last night.
The Michael Bay movie.
Michael Bay movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal.
We have to correct you on everything now because people are calling us for not correcting you.
That's fine. Jake Gyllenhaal. That may have been one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I am not entirely sure that Michael Bay isn't just trolling us at this point. Like some of the camera work in that, like there were multiple scenes where the camera like raced up a building, did some weird twirl to come right back down the building and like zoom in on a car that like cut across and then cut to somebody. Like,
I mean, he basically paid a guy who's like, can you do some cool stuff on a drone? And he's like, all right, do it.
Yeah.
And then he just did it.
But it made for like terrible visuals. Like all of the like action scenes were impossible to follow. Like the bank robbery at the beginning is a shit show. They spend and rightfully they spent no time like introducing or character building like anyone other than Jake Gyllenhaal and his brother's character.
It's Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal and his brother's character. Because they all just immediately fucking die. Like,
great.
Wow, spoilers. Jesus Christ.
I don't give a shit. No one should be watching this movie.
I'm going to watch it even harder now.
Please do. At one point, a paramedic whose main defining character trait is at the beginning of the movie, she saves a little girl who's been impaled in a car wreck, and she takes her to the hospital, like is super like caring and like great paramedic, takes her to the hospital, and then like is like, yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. Like I did my job. Like let's go get enchiladas. And like her partner, who's its first day, is like, I guess it's true what everybody says about you. You're the best paramedic out there, but no one wants to be your partner. That's her only character trait. Yeah. Is that she's really good at being a paramedic, but no one likes her.
Great.
Yeah. Well, the old adage is tell not show, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She at one point saves a cop who's been shot in the abdomen and the bullet is lodged in his spleen. She gets on a video conference call with 2 surgeons on a golf course who talk her through opening the guy up, pulling out his spleen, trying to remove the bullet. The spleen ruptures. And as he's now like super bleeding out, and she solves all this by remembering she has a hair clip that she can put over the main artery going into the spleen, and it stops the bleeding.
Can you prove that wouldn't work?
Well, I mentioned it to Megan, who's an ICU nurse, and she said, well, congratulations on dying of sepsis. Also, there's no way that hair clip had enough force to clamp an artery shut.
They come with clamps. It's in their bag, right?
Yeah.
She said, I'm out of clamps. We don't have anything to do. Oh, wait, my hair clip. Get my hair clip. And then
look, maybe, you know what? Maybe it's super heavy duty. She's had some in the past, and it's a very voluptuous hair, very voluminous, and it just explodes from it. So it's like it's triple duty.
Yeah. They at multiple points in time had a character who appeared to be in their 40s or 50s call a character who appeared to be in their late 40s, early 50s, call a character in their late 30s, early 40s young. Like, you're like a kid young. Like, not like we're in the same decade. Like it didn't make sense.
I've seen people do that you're like, really?
It was egregiously bad in this one. They build a character up, like one of the cops, like he's like one of the main cops, and then he just gets killed and like nobody fucking mentions or reacts to him dying really. It is so bad. Oh my god.
Maybe they just respect the ACAB. So they're like, it's,
I really feel like Michael Bay is trolling at this point. Realistically, he's made so much goddamn money that at this point he's just phoning it in. Like you said, he was like, "Hey, you've got a drone? Shoot this. I don't care what you capture in frame. Like, that's fine. We're going to have people act. You just fly the drone around and we'll cut it together somehow." Mm-hmm. It was bad.
I watched the 4 episodes of Andor, the Star Wars thing.
Really good. Andor is fantastic.
So far, so good.
I need to watch the 4th one, but yeah, it's been good so far.
I continue to like She-Hulk.
She-Hulk is real good. Rick and Morty's real good.
I wish I knew.
Played a bunch of little bullshit games over the weekend. One was called Dome Keeper. It's like wave defense, but also one of those like SteamWorld Dig sort of like mining resource games.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then you're trying to dig up resources for upgrades for the wave defense, like between waves.
Okay. How is wave defense different than tower defense?
Tower defense, you're usually building various towers in a maze or across a path that the monsters are going through to like slow them down and stuff like that. This is more of like, I have my dome that has a weapon that I'm upgrading to like shoot monsters as they come in, and then more complex monsters attack you that fly or different shapes and sizes.
Okay. Yeah. Very similar.
Balloons TD would be your example of tower defense.
Yep.
I like how Mike Jones's only comment is I
thought
he was probably like a series of like,
he was probably about to correct you about Gyllenhaal, and we had already corrected you on Gyllenhaal, so I'm sure he just hit enter at about the part where he caught up.
Feel like the difference between Gyllenhaal and Gyllenhaal
is like one's correct and one's wrong.
It's potato.
Hey, Gyllenhaal, get over here. And he's like, Gyllenhaal, sir.
You know what? If I ever have a chance to meet him, I'm going to say, "Hey, Gyllenhaal," and see how he reacts.
Just yell at him from a distance. I'm sure he loves it.
I've heard that celebrities really love when people just yell at them in public.
Scream their names at them. Yes. Matt Damon.
He has to get that so fucking much. Maybe not anymore because it's like old.
Mike Jones is pocket.
Good old pocket dial.
Yeah. Pocket chatting.
Amazing. I miss Mike Jones. I'm glad to see Mike Jones still exists.
He's busy running the Wizard Chest's Halloween edition, so I'm sure it's a fucking nightmare.
I mean, I feel like I have not seen Mike Jones in a longer time frame than Halloween accounts for.
Oh, well, their Halloween starts at the beginning of September, so...
That actually might explain it.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does Halloween start at the beginning of September?
Because it's...
I hate everything.
Well, have you seen the Wizard's Chest?
I hate everything.
Yeah.
Our society is broken.
How many 12-foot skeletons does the Wizard's Chest have?
I don't know.
How many does Home Depot have?
Apparently a lot. Yeah. Well, they're mostly sold out now because everybody got wind of them.
Because everybody wanted them.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had an extra $300 laying around.
I mean, you apparently have $7 lying around for games. Yeah. So you just don't buy three games and you got it.
$70 and $300 are notably different amounts.
That's what I said. Don't buy
four or five games.
4.5.
Five. Yeah.
And
or
you
just go into debt.
Skeleton.
Take out a loan for that skeleton.
$300 loan.
Yeah.
You know, I bet that every time I go to Home Depot and I buy something, they want to sell me on a Home Depot credit card.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could get my Home Depot credit card.
You could.
35% APR.
Yeah. I'm sure that nothing will ever go wrong with me having my first ever real credit card.
Wow.
To date, all of my credit cards are like
secured?
Not prepaid, but yeah, secured ones. So like, hey, here's $1,000. Give me a credit card with $1,000 limit.
$500 limit on this credit card.
Actually, $600. It's not even $1,000. It's actually probably the smartest thing I've ever done is to avoid credit cards, because my financial situation for the first, 20 years of my adulthood, from like 18 to 28, which is 10 years, I'm realizing now.
That's
I think you have more issues than just that in your financial.
It's really 15, because I'm approaching 20 years of adulthood.
Okay.
But the first,
are you?
Solidly first, well, I don't know. By age, I certainly should be. First 15 years, very financially irresponsible. Had I had credit cards, I would probably be drowning in credit card debt and like moving one balance from one credit card to pay off another credit card.
It is spooky season.
It is.
Credit card debt, the scariest thing of all.
Yes.
Oktoberfest happened, and that was crazy.
Really glad I got my truck when I did.
Yeah.
One last thing about credit.
Yes.
Because I like
interest rates.
And well, not only that.
Lock it in.
I had looked at I was like, holy shit, my credit rating is like way up. Like there's almost no negative things on my report. This is crazy. What the fuck? I didn't expect that to happen. I thought I had a couple of more years of like needing to do the right thing. That's great. And then my car died and I was able to get a truck. And then about a month after I got my truck, all of my student loans filed new reports.
Woo,
and so I got my truck at the right time, because otherwise I'm pretty sure right now I would have been laughed out of the dealership if I had tried to get my truck.
No, they would. It just would have cost you
significantly more.
2 arms and 3 legs. You would have had to get a leg from somebody else.
You'd be a torso boy.
Yeah. Hey Megan, I'm gonna need a leg there.
No, I want you to cut all my arms and legs off with a chainsaw. Whoa, man! I was just being sarcastic. Now we're just spouting Weird Al lyrics.
Yep. Good old Albuquerque.
Yep. Oktoberfest happened, and it was a nightmare, and GABF is about to happen.
It's going to be a nightmare as well.
Yeah.
This is the first
in person since COVID, and also the 40th anniversary of GABF.
Oktoberfest fucked me and Aunt. We went on a bike ride, because I got my bike, and I had at one point been biking somewhat regularly. That has died. That did not last very long. But I drove to his house with my bike, and then I took my bike out, and we biked to Breckenridge. And we got to Breckenridge, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, we're closed for a ticketed Oktoberfest event. So do you got tickets?" I was like, "Sure don't. Guess we're gonna bike home."
The Littleton one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have pressed my coworkers for Prost VIP Oktoberfest tickets. Apparently one of the other warehouse guys had emailed the head brewer and got like just a code from the guy at Prost to be like, yeah, this just gets you free tickets. They're like $125 each.
God damn.
And then they went 2 days.
God damn.
Yeah, so they spent $500 on free tickets, which is on their VIP, like drink and food inclusive. So they got like Friday, Saturday, 2 days of Oktoberfest at Prost, food and drink for free, and basically $1,000, because he got tickets not only for him and his girlfriend, but his 2 friends on top of that.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'd have done that.
I would have as well.
We could have been friends, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Well, we only make all of their fucking beer, so at least someone took advantage of it.
That's good.
Do you make all of it now?
They don't have a brewery right now. They're building it. So we make Prost.
They don't even make it, because I thought their location down there, like right on in
Centennial,
whatever that area
the
is.
Highlands, one.
Yeah, I thought that had brewing facility.
If it does, it's not pumping out much. Yeah, like we're even doing specialty stuff for them.
Shit.
Yeah, until they get their location up.
I had a wet hop Pilsner from Joyride.
Yeah,
it was very good.
Yeah, it's fresh hop season.
I liked it a lot. And it was like 4.9%, so it wasn't too boozy.
Yeah.
Which
you got to get the hops now. I think they even did Denver Beer Co. did like a hop harvest where people could just like bring in hops that they have and just like drop them off and like get like free beer tickets or something for like any of the fresh hops they bring in.
At least something out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had never heard of a wet hopped Pilsner. Like, I always think when I think of a Pilsner, I think of a notoriously non-hoppy beer.
I mean, there's hoppy pills out there.
Well, I think the only other hoppy pills I know is the one Avery does, like that I know of, like offhand. And even then, I'd drawn a blank on that, so I hadn't thought of that. But
we don't make a pills.
I thought you had hoppy.
Yeah, I thought you had a pills at one point.
Who makes hoppy pills? Because there's a beer specifically called, I thought, hoppy pills.
No. There was Hop Syndrome from Epic. I don't remember what that was.
Isn't this also what like the IPLs. It's the new name for IPL.
Indian Pale Lager. I mean, it's just a cold IPA.
That's the new name for it. Is the cold? I knew they changed IPL to something else because nobody bought IPL.
Yeah. And then it won like a ton of awards and shit. Are you looking up the pills?
There was Joe's Premium American
that's right. Yes,
Pills.
that was the Legacy series. Yep. Yes, we do not currently make that anymore.
No.
But yeah, Joe's Pills.
These are notes from a decade ago.
Yeah. Because it's been a while since we. You know what? We just found a batch and just threw it in the. Threw it in the box.
Has that old style too.
Yeah.
So that wraps up Banter, I think. News it is.
News of the world. We only have one news item. We almost talked about this game founding last week, which was Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is the board game, which is a video game. And then we didn't. And then a day later, they're like, you know what? Let's just call it here.
Yeah. So, we like Jeff said, we had thought about doing it, and I kind of looked it over, and I was like,
it's especially because it was like, it had 350,000 of its $50,000 goal or something like that. So it's like it's well funded. It looked ambitious, and
they were expecting significantly more ambition.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those campaigns where they were trying to see the funded in X amount of minutes, like to have it help build, because people were more willing to back something they know is
funded and exists.
Exactly. And they didn't want to put its true actual goal of closer to
$1.7 million.
Yeah, 1.5 million euro. So about $1.7 million. Which they thought would be like 10,000 backers.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not getting anywhere near it.
No.
They were expecting the like hot hit shit Kickstarter crowdfund game,
which I feel like for one almost never happens on GameFound.
Oh, there certainly has been. Sleeping Gods was the sequel was on GameFound.
I mean,
that
look
one
at
did
the
a ton. Tainted Grail, 2.5 million.
Okay, I guess
it has certainly happened.
But I also feel like even just across all crowdfunding, like with the last couple of years and like the way people have gotten burned on a bunch of projects that got like destroyed by shipping or had to come back begging for more money for shipping.
Yes.
I feel like people are way cooling on crowdfunding.
Yeah. Well, I do know that at least there was one game that I ended up backing is Adria, the wings we fly on, or whatever bullshit name it was.
Sure. Great.
That one actually, like, it had, its goal was like $750,000 or something like that. It was actually a realistic one. And they still ended up making like $1.25 or $2 million off of it.
Oh, damn.
So it's not that having the showing that the 300% funded or any of that stuff means it's going to be successful. Sometimes for those bigger ones, if you're true about it, they will back on it.
Yeah. I mean, the Tainted Grail one still has, it's 2.5 million, but it's another of those $50,000 goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know it's set when we originally saw it, it's one of those things of like, I know the CMON, like we had seen some that were like just 50 or 100,000 for their goal, but I very much doubt they would have continued the campaign if it was only like, we're gonna barely get that 50,000, right?
Yeah.
So, because a lot of them do like funding, like after it's funded, then they'll do stretch goals to add a bunch of stuff. But it sounds like this one didn't have that many like more stretch goals. It didn't have a way to build it past.
Yeah.
It just seems like they were trying to bank off of the game itself, which was a moderately successful.
Yeah, I mean it's a fine game.
Yeah,
I've never played it. You're like a peasant that gets like saves someone big, and then they like you're like, yeah, we're gonna make you.
Yeah,
you're gonna be rich now.
You slowly get like brought in.
It's like Pretty Woman, but like medieval peasants.
Although it's less you're gonna be rich now, and more like you're gonna be a foot soldier now.
We're gonna teach you to read.
Yeah. It was a fine game. The combat, like it was supposed to be one that had like really like in-depth combat of like blocking and parrying, and for me it just still turned into flailing my mouse around like a crazy person, hacking and slashing and stabbing.
Yeah. Well, and this one was supposed to have like, I mean, it was going to be app driven. It was about like AI villagers and stuff like that, like full voice acting, and it was
very ambitious.
Yeah, $50,000, huh?
Yep.
Like it's interesting because they talk about like it's a real step forward in how board games can be perceived. But they talk about the way they talk about this, like this game is proven to be like it hasn't proven shit. Like no one's actually seen the game.
There were a couple of people that like tried like the prototype stuff of it, but it's still
yeah. I don't know.
It seems like they had a decent idea. It's just they weren't overtly expressing the big leap or the big amount of money they needed to do that.
And they talk about that like they failed at communicating that via the campaign. And the only tangible thing they had was the reviews, but that wasn't winning people over enough. I'm also a little surprised. So like they being whatever the company was.
Oh yeah, because this entire thing is like
Boardcubator, which is just they're just gone.
Yeah, they're
just done. So they were saying like this project's over. We don't have any money. Like so we're shutting up shop. Mm-hmm. Doors are closed. I'm surprised. So one, it feels like trying to do something this big and ambitious when you're like that tight on money that you're like in danger of your doors closing seems like not great planning.
Mm-hmm.
But then also like we've seen other Kickstarters who have like funded other crowdfunding games that have funded not quite met their goal, like their internal goal or whatever, pulled the plug, recalibrated, relaunched, and done very well. So like I'm surprised there was no attempt by them for that. They were just like, nope, fuck it. We have this incredibly innovative, like crazy cool idea, but we're just gonna walk away from it. Yeah. It just seems odd.
Yeah.
They had their one game, Project L.
Yep.
Just which was Tetris-y puzzle.
Which I wasn't a big fan of. So
yeah. So I don't know. They say that they are still like
they're gonna try and
make the project alive to somebody else. Like they don't want to throw away 3 years of work and all of that. And they think that the platform itself that they've built can be expanded to other games, not just Kingdom Come. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. The whole system, especially like it's really funny that we were like, yeah, we're not going to talk about this game. Like, it doesn't seem like I thought it didn't seem that interesting. And then sure enough, they're like, yeah, we didn't make anywhere near enough money. We're out.
Yep.
I don't know. That's it for news though. I feel like we had, we did have a YouTube comment on Game of Thrones.
We did. Yes.
It's not a positive one. But we're going to talk about it anyway, because we're here for negatives as well as positives. So Sam.
Wait, what about the other one? Did we talk about the other one?
I thought we had. Had we not?
I don't think so.
No, you're right. We hadn't. Okay, we've got 2 comments on our Mile High Game Guys Game of Thrones stream.
Game of Thrones has to be really popular again or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. There's a new show of it out.
Oh, there's a new show?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Weird.
You can get some hot D.
So the first new comment on our Game of Thrones play was from Pablo, who said, "Why do I get the feeling that the Tyrells, Paul, hates everyone at the table?" It's because he does.
Correct. I think we had chatted with Paul.
Yep.
About it, and I think just like where they were in that corner was just like miserable.
Oh yeah, Paul and I like. So I was the
Martells.
Yeah.
Or the Tyrells.
The Dorns?
No, I was the Dorns. So the Martells.
Oh, he said Tyrells.
He was the Tyrells. Yes. And we both were just weirdly in the corner where, like, we kept banging up against each other but couldn't get any traction doing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff was getting raffle stomped by the incorrectly played...
The vassal Lannisters. And who there were vassals of the Starks.
Yeah.
And then we played their spawns wrong.
Yeah.
Where they were spawning like everyone else, and they should have not spawned at all.
I thought there was still a spawn rule for them.
But it's significantly reduced, whatever they were, because they have a huge like land.
Yeah.
And like if they spawn like normal, it was brutal.
Yeah.
And I had to fight against that and still got third, so.
Yeah. Well, mostly because Paul and I just sat in the corner and did nothing the whole game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which all of this plays into the other comment that we got, which, as I had started to mention, came from someone named Sam on YouTube. And they said, don't think there was one player there who was actually enjoying themselves. So much sweaty, try-hard competitiveness.
Correct.
The only thing I would debate is that we were not trying hard to be competitive. We were being competitive.
Yeah.
I was enjoying myself.
I had a fine time.
Yeah.
I think Paul has said that will be his last time playing Game of Thrones, probably.
Yes, yeah.
He has no strong desire. Ant, I think, loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Ant's always loved every game of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So...
It was interesting with Baratheon and Lannister not being played.
Yes.
Indeed. So, yeah. That is our listener feedback, which I think pretty much wraps us up here.
Yes.
So, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you would like to get in touch with us, there's a variety of ways to do so. You can clearly comment on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
Which I think is youtube.com/MHGameGuys.
Yes.
Probably.
Feel free to comment on a video outside of the Game of Thrones one, but,
Yes.
you know.
I mean, to be fair, that's almost exclusively where Paulo,
yeah.
Paulo
was the one who just commented. Paulo is the one who has his own corner of YouTube.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
It's the reason we put the episodes on YouTube.
Correct.
Indeed. Correct. I went to Portugal and he was like, hey, could you do this? And I was like, yeah, that seems easy enough.
Yeah.
Barely an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
You can also send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I occasionally tweet as @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I'm Jeff_MHGG.
We also have Facebook.com/MHGameGuys, and I believe our Insta that has not been used in a very long time is also MHGameGuys. So you can check us out on Facebook and Insta. Most importantly, check the
gram.
Check the show notes on your podcast app of choice for links to the news and Kickstarter items we talk about, as well as links to things like the all-important Slack channel. That is the main way that we discourse and interact with our fans and or parasocial relationship members of the Mile High Game Guys family.
Yep.
Where we're planning next year's
Yeah,
Mile High Cabin Con.
Which is exactly what I was going to say, is that we're starting to plan Cabin Con 2.0, 3.0. Cabin Con 3 up in Estes Park area.
Winter
Park, Estes Park.
Nope,
same
totally
difference.
different places.
Same difference.
Very many hours apart from each other.
Also very, very many hundreds of dollars difference in lodging, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Winter Park in sometime in May.
Sometime in May.
That is the current debate. We're looking at like 3 different dates in May. It's like, do we do it early May? Or do we do it over Geekway, or do we do it over Mother's Day? Or no, it's because it's Mother's Day, Geekway, or Labor Day. Like there's
no. The Labor Day. So it's the 3rd through
Labor
the
Day's
7th.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 3rd through the 7th. Like
Cinco
10th
de
to the
Mayo,
14th,
Mother's Day,
17th.
or Geekway.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So, if you are interested in coming to play board games for a long weekend in the mountains, though, jump over to the Slack channel or contact us any of those other ways, and we'll get you the information. We'll include you in trying to make that happen.
Yeah. You too can hang out in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah. You can see the results of me slicing my foot open on some rocks as I get out of a hot tub in the snow.
I did, on his thing, he did say, like, what can we improve? And I was like, less sliced toes, please.
Did you actually say that?
I did, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I make no promises.
Yeah.
Although, personally, I would also like to slice my toes less. So,
you don't get a choice in this.
That is all of the different ways to get a hold of us and interact with us and be a part of the fandom if you want to interact with us. So I think that's everything. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Great American Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.